Hey, this is Gary with Jolly Dolly, and I'm going to show you how to change out the winch battery on a Power Pro motorized dolly. Make sure you start with the right battery. You need a 12-volt sealed lead acid battery. This is AGM type. Gel is also acceptable. This is a 22 amp hour, which is going to be the best choice, but 18 or 20 would also work. You do not want a lithium battery or anything that's not spill proof. A battery with internally threaded terminals makes the installation easier than the one with tab terminals, but tab battery terminals will also work. Contact Jolly Dolly for an exact recommendation. Start by flipping the dolly forward onto its belly. Remove the Phillips screws that hold the back cover plate on. As you remove the cover plate, watch out for all the battery charger wires. I'm going to disconnect all of these so I can set the cover plate aside and out of my way. If you prefer, you can leave all these connected so you don't have to worry about reconnecting them when you're done. I'm going to label this battery as bad so we don't get it confused with the new battery, which is more common than you think. I'm also going to label the wires going to the battery terminals so I don't forget where they go. Note that there are at least 2 wires going to each terminal. Plus is for positive, which goes to the red colored terminal, and minus is for negative, which goes to the black colored terminal. Next, I'm going to use either an 8 or 10 millimeter socket to remove the battery screws. Make sure you retrieve all the washers that come with the screws. If your existing battery has tab type terminals, you'll need a wrench to hold the nut on the other side of the screw. Repeat the process for the other terminal. Now we can remove the 2 bolts that hold the battery tie in place using a 7/16 socket. Remove the tie down plate and remove the old battery. Clear any wires out of the way and place the new battery in the dolly. Make sure the positive or red battery terminal is closest to the top of the dolly. Also make sure there's no wires pinched under the battery. Put the battery tie-down plate on top of the battery and start threading your 2 tie-down bolts back in. Be sure not to cross-thread these. As you tighten them down, go back and forth from one to the other, making sure to tighten them evenly and not pinch one side of the battery. You want these bolts tight enough so that the battery doesn't move at all, but not tight enough to damage or crush the battery. I recommend you use the battery terminal screws that come with the new battery. Make sure to use the washers as well. The screw goes through the smaller of the 2 ring terminals first, then through the larger one, then onto the terminal of the battery. Thread them into the battery terminal by hand, and then repeat for the other side. Make sure not to get your positive and negative confused. If your new battery has tab terminals instead of internal threads, you'll need to install a nut on the back of the screw and use a wrench to hold it while you tighten the screw. Tighten these screws carefully but firmly. They should be tight enough so that the ring terminals don't move, but not over-tightened enough to damage the battery terminals. Once you have the battery installed, you can remove your labels and connect your charger wires back together if you disconnected them. I recommend putting some electrical tape on these connections to make sure they don't come loose. Carefully place the wires inside the cabinet and put the cover plate back on. Make sure that none of the wires will be pinched between the cover plate and the cabinet. Before you put the screws back in place, plug the dolly up to test charge both batteries. For the winch battery, you should get a green power LED coming on, followed by a steady red charging LED. That indicates that the winch battery is charging. For your drive battery, you should get a solid red LED indicating that it is charging. Once you confirm that both batteries are charging, you can now test the winch. Turn the winch system on and check the winch battery indicator. Now test the winch by winching both in and out. Once you've confirmed that everything works, you can put the cover plate screws back in place. Make sure to utilize the washers. If you have any trouble with stripped out screws, we have another video that covers that. As always, don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns. The best way to reach us about technical issues is to send a private message to our Facebook page, or you can just scan the QR code on the top of your dolly. Thanks, and have a jolly day.